Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I'm Christy. Mind if I smoke out here in outer space? Hope this message finds you doing well. This is the Wiley Report, and I'm Wiley. And today I'm talking about wrapping up the semester reflections from the semester, things I've learned best or learned most, challenges I've experienced in my life. All thoughts, all ideas are completely my own. I don't remember I loosely remember what I talked about the last time. But I wrapped up the semester this week, literally yesterday with the meeting with my advisor, talking about my experiences with her as a teaching assistant for libraries and information societies 510. It was an honor and a privilege to serve as a TA, to work alongside. It was new for me because most of my teaching experiences have been either from the 6 to 8 years that I spent teaching adult education for community college, and then a school board, and at both prison, the Department of Corrections, jail, and then also community colleges experiences. And then as a librarian, I've been a librarian since 2008. So that's probably 16 years of experiences as a librarian. One of these, at a laboratory for atmospheric scientists, environmental scientists, researchers, hurricane prediction. And then, as an engine in the university environment, so you had serving primarily engineering and physical sciences faculty and students. And in the latter, as far as like in the library experiences, most of my instructional sessions were like literally you come into the class and talk about the resources that are available for them to use. So like a 30-minute, 20-minute, 20 to 30-minute guest speaker spot, you answer questions and then you're out. Sometimes those are physical, like in person in the actual class, and sometimes you show up literally like this. So in 510, though, it was a class that met from 6 p.m. to 7:55. It was primarily master's graduate students. It was 35 students in that class. And they did weekly discussion board posts. They did infographic. They did Ignite, where they had to attend virtually or in person library related or library event and talk about the experience. And they also did an infographic, not infographic, they did an Ignite presentation on various topics. And they gave a presentation on those. It was usually two people in a group. They gave a presentation, and they also had to do a transcript and presentation slides. And then their last assignment was a final group project where they analyzed and compared 10 job ads and talked about the connections to librarianship, the connections to future challenges, insights. They talked about, that's just, the highlights of what they talked about. And the positions that they focused on during that time seemed to be youth librarianship, public librarianship, academic librarianship, law librarianship. I'll just to name a few, but it was an honor and privilege to serve. It also taught me about, I took a class probably about 2 years ago, intersectional pedagogies by Professor Toby Beauchamp. And one of the things that I learned most from that class, and there's a video somewhere in the list of Wilder reports where I talk about that class, but the goal of the class was teaching you about creating support and nurture for students that you teach. And in this class, I got to see how that was illustrated by my advisor. It also was new in the sense, not that is the new to see, nurture, and support. New because I feel like for me, I literally met my advisor in January of 2024. I mean, I had talked to her a couple of times before, but in working with her in terms of, my narrative, my qualifying exam, and then, all the time we met during this summer to prepare for this class, to teach the actual class, and to start working on my dissertation proposal. It was a chance to see her in different environments. And I think what I got most out of that experience is what it means to be a colleague. Or in a way, a person is training you that you're going to be a colleague, that you're going to be junior faculty at some place. So what skills, what services, what things will I offer in order to do that? So it was a learning experience. It also taught me about grading. And here's why I say that, because I learned that I need to be more specific in my comments, because as a Black person, as a queer person, as a trans man, thinking about how many people show up in spaces as faculty that look like me or that have my level of representation, that sometimes you get pushed back because you look like me. Thinking not just something that I'm projecting or stating. I think about how in research and design, the class I took my literally first semester as a information science doctoral student, we read a lot of Dr. Nicole Cook's work, and you can go and look that up, where she talks about her own experiences teaching, information science classes, and the pushback that she received. And so I think the lesson that my advisor was teaching me or sharing with me is that, not that it's going to change the fact that you're going to get pushed back, but being able to justify your grades and why you graded that way, and what was your criteria, what was your rubric, and what were you basing that on. Also, the ability to use that in terms of when people ask you to write recommendation letters. Different experiences in the social sciences, because in this experiences of learning as a TA, in the experiences of being in Professor Beauchamp's class, they talked about care and nurture. They talked about considering how we grade. And my undergraduate degree is in business information systems. I was initially doing a master's program in computer science. And in both experiences, even before I transferred, I didn't necessarily I met a lot of professors who your grade was your grade. You could go back and forth with them in the grade. In some cases, they will consider your thoughts. In other cases, they may or may not. And so I think for me, I guess my ultimate point is, I think like information science, or in the experiences of the intersectionality, pedagogy's class was taught by somebody that was in the gender women's studies department. I think they think about care more. And I'm not saying that they don't talk about it in sciences and engineering. I'm just saying I think I heard it more in interdisciplinary related disciplines than I did in business, than I did in computer science. And I don't know if that's something that they stress, because like I said, I haven't been a teacher's assistant in those classes, but also, where your advisor is saying, hey, I want to know what you think. Your real thoughts. I want to know, I want you, look at this syllabus, please, and add content. Do you think, is there something else you could think that we could add? What would you suggest? And so that part, whereas a lot of the experiences that I've heard and read from people who are in other disciplines, is that might not necessarily be the case. You literally come in a class, you do exactly what that particular professor says do. They may or may not be interested in you adding readings. That's the way it could be. So it was different in that experience, and a joy, because it made me think about, oh man, what would I do if I was the instructor of record, or if I had to think about what kind of class that I would be teaching, what assignments would I create, how would I go about, what would that process look like for me? And so just thinking about that, opening your mind, if you will, to think about that type of experience, that content, and not just the content, but what type of experience do you want to create? And for me, I think about what I have loved as a student, because I realize I'm a person that loves research talks. I never get tired of that. Research is fun and exciting to me. But what I've learned and enjoyed the most about, shall I say, is when professors brought the people that wrote the books that we read for the class for that class to the class. I was thinking, am I saying that right? Yeah. The books that you read that were on the syllabus, there you go, to the class. The authors, and you could say, hey, do I have a book? Let's say this is one of the books that we read in, I don't think you can see it. Can you see it? Yeah. No, you can't. I'll just read the title. It's called Visual Methodologies. I got the wrong edition because I thought this was the fourth edition, but it's the third. But this was a class that we read in my in the educational course that I took that I really liked. And what I liked about this book is they gave examples, maybe not necessarily in this third edition, but in the fourth edition, they gave yeah, they do. Okay, so they would give you like the website discusses discourse analysis, and it is 1 and 2 together. It has 2 sets of resources, and so this will help, an individual. You could go to that link that they provided, and it'll help you explore the methods further and consider the links between them. So that was like fascinating to me because it literally felt like the ability to practice. Okay, how will this work in the case of an actual data set? So it's not just solely the theory and then what someone else did, but you can go and really try it on your own. And I think that is so helpful because oftentimes you hear about these methods and you read about these methods and the author comes and talks about these methods, but there's something else that's added when you can get the hands-on practice to explore yourself. It is, because think about it, in the dissertation proposal and the dissertation defense, it will be you, the researcher in training. I become myself the information scientist in training that's going to be conducting, and you're literally designing a study that you're going to do. And while in my case, I have design studies that I conducted because I am a tenured librarian. In the case of information science, my field is race, digital studies, intersectionality. The audience is completely different than STEM faculty, STEM students. So I'm exploring the information practices of Black trans men, and the interdisciplinary aspect of that is not only am I talking about information sciences in terms of theories, in terms of what information is, in terms of how people have used information practice theory, I'm also talking about identity. I'm also talking about race. I'm also talking about intersectionality. I'm also talking about transgender studies and the histories of the term transgender, the histories of the people that represent this group, the connections to intersectionality, and the origination of the field, past to present, as well as talking about Black trans researchers and challenges, issues, and future directions. So it's merging those together. Because when I think about like information science, when we think about like just staying on that transgender studies focus, you are talking about critical race theory. And in information science, of course, yeah, there are researchers that talk about, race and technology. And then race and technology, but you're merging not only the information scientists that talk about these topics, or sociologists that talk about these topics, but you're talking about trans study researchers as well, queer theory researchers as well. What frameworks and what methods do they use as well? So that's what I am doing. And it's also exploring, because even as I'm continuing to write my dissertation proposal, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Like, I can tell you about the design of the study, but I don't know how these people are going to answer. And these people, I'm not just trying to be disrespectful. I'm talking the people. When I say these people, I mean the people that agree to be interviewed. I have no idea how they will answer these questions. But I don't think no matter which discipline we were talking about, because I've interviewed STEM faculty and graduate students and postdocs, and even when I had the actual questions, I still was surprised with what they said. I still didn't know exactly how they were going to answer it. So openness to that. And I love how Professor Twydale, who's a faculty member at the university that I'm at, talks about the messiness of research, about how you don't know. It's not necessarily going to be needed in a box. History is not necessarily needed in a box. So just being open to that experience, being open to learning, that in many ways it feels uh, exciting and never ending at the same time. And the fact that you can have 5 of us in a room that are all in information science and we're still talking about different things. And that's okay. But I think that is what research is. So that's what I've been learning and exploring and figuring out. Also had health challenges because one of the things that really affected one of my deadlines before the holidays, before Thanksgiving holidays, was getting sick. I was not anticipating that I would get sick, and it wasn't just a cold. I was hoping that it was just that, but I also tested negative for COVID. I tested negative for the flu, yet it ended up being something more, and taking medication for that, and how it took a week where I literally was off work and I was literally laid out on my couch taking medicine and watching television trying to get better, sucking down cough drops and trying to feel better, taking going to the doctor, getting all this blood work done and getting different tests done, and that was yes, was that freaking me out? Absolutely, because I'm a person that really, I go to the doctor, but I go to the doctor for your physical. I've been going to the doctor for weight loss, but other than that I don't go that often. And so to now go every other week, and then you're getting this blood test, and then they're saying, hey, we found lesion on your lung. I'm like, what you talking about? You found a lesion on my lung? What's that mean? And then I have a doctor that, because lists everything that it could be, and then says, but we're gonna run some tests. And my wife could tell you I'm the spastic person in the relationship. So yes, I have all of the thoughts that are absolutely irrational. And so it was great this week to hear from the doctor. If you've had all these blood tests and they say that the blood tests that you got don't show that you have any, issues. There's nothing, there's nothing that is to report here. You're negative for everything that we tested for, but we still want you to go see the pulmonary person. And I did go see them. And I'm grateful to my wife because she came to the appointment and was there to ask questions. And they said they gave me another antibiotic to take, and they want me to take that for the next basically 4 weeks, and then I got to take the test again at the end of January. And because their belief is that it's connected to the lung infection that I got. I still have no idea who what I could have come in contact with to give me a lung infection. None. I don't know. But it's definitely changed the way I interact with everything since then, because I wear my masks more. I wipe down surfaces. I wear surfaces and doors. And like I said, I only do like small crowd like gatherings, unless it's work related, because I did go to one meeting and that was packed with people, but I had my mask on the whole time. I wear my mask when I get on the bus. I have a different outlook. I really don't try to. And then as a person that works as an engineering librarian, and it's the busy week. This week, every time I was anywhere outside of solely my office, I had my mask on, and I will still carry that on even when I'm done with these medications. As I think about it in terms of the fact that I'm going to get on the airplane, next week, I will also be wearing a mask then too. So yes. That's what I'm thinking and planning to do. But other than that, that has been and I'm currently working on revisions for my dissertation proposal. They're due January 4th. Where I'm at now is I'm currently working on the identity and gender section of that, and the queer and trans histories. And where I'm at is my queer theory class has us do a literature review. I was able to send my professor an example of the literature review I had so far for information science, and he suggested I do a transgender literature review, which literally answers the build outs that they want. So I've been working on that. I have to turn that in. I'm shooting for tomorrow. I'm going to do it a little bit more later tonight because I'm off work work tomorrow, Friday, but I'm gonna still be working on that because that's literally what they're asking me to talk about um, right now. So I'm working on that, and I'll be on a holiday break officially after Friday. So I don't believe that the Wiley Report will have any videos for you until the new year. So I hope that these videos have been helpful. I hope that wherever you are, whatever it is you're doing, that you're taking care of yourself. Oh, I forgot before I sign off. Best thing I did Sunday, I went with fellow information science students. We met up at Encanto, a great restaurant, and it was a fun time of laughs and conversation and just care and support and cheering each other on. That was good. And I hope, like I said, wherever back to my exit, I hope that you're taking care of yourself. I hope that you are doing your best, that this holiday season is safe, joyous, and rejuvenating for you. And hey, if the Lord be willing, I'll see you in 2025. You take care of yourself.